Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, my social thread. My name's Crystal. Sorry it's been so long since I have posted any vlogs. So this is sort of a very late June. This is a very late June roundup of the month for the month of June. I do have 1, 2, 3 items to show you, 3 garments to show you for June. The reason I obviously haven't been able to sew as much is because I had a baby in April, and I was just busy obviously looking after a baby, Theo, who is now 4 months, and he's starting to smile, which is really, really lovely. I'll pop up some photos of Theo there. So he's adorable, but sometimes he just likes to be held all the time, and so I don't have that much free time to sew, obviously with all the other children as well, you know, and with the home education, so lots on my plate at the moment. But when I do get a spare moment, I do tend to just go into the sewing room and sew, you know, as much as I can, get useful, get some good use out of my spare time. So for the month of June, I made 3 dresses, as I say. The first dress that I made was the Tilly and the Buttons Mabel dress, which I'm sure all of you know of. It's very, very popular. All of Tilly's patterns are always very popular. And I've got it here. It is the Mabel dress, as I say, and it is a lovely sheared dress. I'll show you the line drawings. So the 2 variations are a peplum top or the dress version. You've got the long sleeves and the short sleeves. You've got shearing at the waist, shearing at the cuff, a gathered skirt. Does it have pockets? I'm sure it has got pockets. It's got pockets. And then the neckline here is elasticated with a faux kind of string at the neckline here. I decided to go for the dress version, but with the short sleeves. And in Tilly and the Button sizes, I normally go for a size 5, which is a bust of 38 inches and a waist of 32 inches, which is not my waist, but because it's elasticated, that allows for it to fit nicely, sort of, you know, the size is adjustable, as it were. As per usual, Tilly and the Buttons instructions are all very, very simple to follow. The things I liked about the pattern was, well, actually, the shearing, it's everywhere. Everybody, you know, there's shearing everywhere. And when I tried it, I didn't know the right technique to do it. So it took me forever to get the right settings on my Pfaff machine here. I have a Pfaff Ambition 630. It took me forever. I was changing the tensions, the stitch length. I was doing all sorts of things. And it did shear, but not as tight as I wanted it to be. So it wasn't as elasticated as I wanted it to be. And even where I was pressing over the sheared parts of the dress, it still wasn't shrinking as I wanted it to. In the end, I just had to leave it as it was, and it's still a lovely dress. It's just not as fitted as the waist as that I would have liked. But now, what is it? It's August now, end of August, beginning of April almost. I have conquered the shearing technique, and so I'll talk about that when I get to my other dresses in my other vlogs. But just to say that when I was making this dress, my shearing wasn't very good. And so I wasn't too happy about the dress, and I didn't really think I'd want to make it again. But now that I know how to shear, I would love to make this dress again. The only other thing that I wasn't too keen on was the amount of elastic insertions. So you have a piece of elastic from this point here to the middle of the neckline here, and then you've got another one from that point to that end. Then you've got one for the shoulder strap, another for the shoulder strap, and one for the back as well. So these are all individual elastic pieces that you have to thread and sew on either end. So that was just a bit finicky. I don't know whether she could have just done like an elastic all the way around. I'm not sure. Also, this drawstring here, or this tie at the neck, is a faux. It doesn't do anything. So what you could do, which is what I would like to do actually in the future, is instead of putting elastic here and here, I'm just going to make the drawstring longer, tie it so it still has a channel at the top of this bodice here, and sew it at this end, sew it at the other end, and then pull the drawstring together so it's a workable, usable drawstring, and then tie it there. Because I found my one, when I leant forward, the bodice kind of gaped open, and I did adjust it already at the bit with the elastic, but I wasn't prepared to do it a second time. But I thought if it was a drawstring, you could easily adjust that as, you know, as much as you wanted. Also for breastfeeding purposes, I think the drawstring would be really great as well. The other thing I did with my dress is there is a center seam at the front here. Is there a center seam? You can't see it, but there is a center seam at the front here, and I inserted, of course, an invisible invisible zip for breastfeeding access. And what else? And the other thing that I wasn't too keen on either was, so with these sheer dresses, you normally get the square front and a square back. So you have a square front here, as you can see, but at the back it goes in slightly, and I'm thinking that's probably because of your bra straps, to conceal your bra straps. But I'm just not keen on that kind of shape. I'd rather it be square or circular, or just not. This is just a bit, I don't know, trapezoid like, if that's a term. So that's the only thing that I wasn't too keen on as well. But apart from that, everything else was great. I'll show you some pictures of me wearing mine. And this is my version here. So this is made up in a viscose crepe from Lady McElroy. This was actually My Little Miss So-and-so make as well, actually, for the month of June, I believe. So I got all of this material, the pattern, everything for free, as I say, as brand ambassador. So here is my shearing here. What is that, the string? Shearing at the cuffs of the sleeve and the shearing at the waist, and it's just not as you know, sheared as I'd like it to be, but it was still okay. And I'll show you my invisible zip. So for breastfeeding access, I would untie this part here. So this is the drawstring or necktie, and then I've got an invisible zip there for breastfeeding access, which is really, really great. And let me just tie that one up. And there you go. So that's dress number one. The second item I made, let me just see if I've got my notes for that one. So the second item I made for that month, second item, that was it for the Tilly the Buttons Mabel. So the second item I made for that month was actually, I didn't actually make it in June. I had made it in like April, but I never actually got to vlog about it because the baby had arrived, and I only just photographed it after the baby had arrived. So anyway, I thought I'd talk about it now and show you the item, the garment. It is the, so the pattern I used was the Tamsin dress by, who's this by? By Hand London. So it's the Tamsin dress here. Don't know if you can see it very well. I'll show you the line drawings. So this is a lovely square neck dress. Lovely square neck dress. It's got princess seams, pleats at the sleeves, pleats at the hem of the skirt. It's got a tie back as well. And then the other variation is so you can have, you can have the tie that goes in the princess seams at the back of the dress, or you can have a tie that goes in the side seams of the dress. So either way, what you want to do is up to you. Obviously the skirt is, and the sleeves, you can make them as long or short as you want, but bear in mind that the pleats are sort of one of the main design features of the dress, so you wouldn't want to kind of omit those. Square neckline, as I say, which is really, really great. And the reason I chose this dress was because it's got the princess seams, and I could add invisible zips, of course. So I have made this dress once before, which I'll show you again later on. And I just decided to make another one because I had some lovely fabric that I've had in my stash for ages, and I thought I'd make good use of it for this particular dress. So the things I liked about the dress is I enjoyed actually doing the pleats in the skirt because I had lined them up beautifully, and instead of drawing a line across the fabric, I just pinned them on either side, and I was able to fold it quite nicely, and all the lines matched up for the pleating. So that was quite nice to do, and it was just quite satisfying to get all the pleats to match up and press well. What is this called? This is called the By Hand London Transit. Right, so I overlocked, so with the bodice pieces where I inserted the invisible zip, that was sort of quite tricky because it wasn't in the instructions, so I had to do that myself. And the only thing I did really was I just overlocked the bodice pieces. So this side pieces here, front side, left and right, and the middle piece, I overlocked both of those pieces before I inserted the zip. And then this square sort of neckline that goes on top here hides the zip quite nicely. Yeah, and that's it really. Oh, and the invisible zip that I used were 16-inch long invisible zips, which sounds like a very long zip, but it fitted perfectly. And in terms of my size, I went for a bodice size of a 14 and an arm psych. Is it arm psych? Arm psych of size 14, but then the waist and the skirt size 12. So that's what I went for size wise. And I'll show you my version here. So this is a beautiful stretch cotton or cotton sateen. I think it's a cotton sateen from the Textile Centre, which I probably bought 2 or 3 years ago. And it was meant for a wedding 2 or 3 years ago, but I never actually used it. So it's a lovely white border print with pink florals. And I had to play around with the fabric placement. So I've got sort of white top of the sleeve with the florals at the bottom. And then again, the white top here with the florals at the waist. And you can see the waistline is here, and then as you go down to the pleats, it's just the plain white. And I wanted that, I did that on purpose so that you could see the pleats quite nicely there. I did omit the pleats in the sleeve this time round, just because I just didn't think it was necessary, and I wanted to show off that pattern quite nicely there. You can see the square neckline here. And what else did I want to show you? Oh, and the invisible zips, of course. So how does it start from the top? No, it starts from the bottom. Let me just check it up. Ta-da! So one on that side and another one on the other side. It's a very satisfying sound that makes, actually. There you go. And it's a beautiful dress, and it's quite weighty, and it's quite an occasion dress. So I actually haven't worn it to anything yet. But I'm just waiting for an occasion. I have so many dresses that I have that I don't have an occasion to wear it to. But that's that dress there, and I'll show you some pictures of myself wearing it. Look, I still even have the marker pen there, the blue marker pen, because I haven't actually ironed it yet or washed it. So that's that one there, and I'll show you some pictures as I say. And then the next thing the last thing, so actually just quickly, as I said, I did make a one previous to that one, and it's this one that you might have seen before if you do follow me. And this is in a cotton lawn by Lady McElroy, and this has the invisible zips as well. That side and the other side. But as you can see, I did put the pleats in the sleeves and at the bottom, but you can't see them as much because of the pattern, and that's why I decided for my next version that the pleats had to be on something plain so that you could see the pleats and appreciate them. But I just thought I'd show you that that was my very first version of that dress. And then the last thing I made for the month of June was the Stylark Hope dress, and it's a so Stylark I've never really used. I've made the Stylark Belle dress, and although the dress was beautiful, the instructions are very limited with the Stylark patterns. So you do actually have to have some experience in sewing, you know, obviously, before you take on a Stylark pattern, because you do need to do a lot of reading between the lines or knowing how to do something without actually having full instructions for it. But I quite like this Hope dress. It's the Stylark Hope dress. It's a woven dress, and these are the line drawings here. It's a loose and flowy dress. It's raglan sleeves. You've got poofy raglan sleeves with the poof at the bottom here, and it's just a gathered skirt. Does it have a tie? It doesn't have a tie, but I added ties to mine because I like the option of cinching my waist in as and when I please. And the other reason why I went for this dress was because, oh, here you go. So originally I was thinking of just putting some invisible zips, obviously, in this raglan area here. And then I noticed that the Hope dress does an extension pack, and the extension pack is this here. And with that, you get 3 different bodices. You get like a wrap, you get like a little bow, a pussy bow tie here, and then you get the button bodice. So they're the 3 bodice extension packs, and you get 3 different sleeves. You get a poofy sleeve with a cuff, a longer poofy sleeve with elastic cuff, and then sort of like a scrunched up sleeve. So 3 different sleeves as well here, and you could obviously mix and match those to your own preference. So I decided to go for this version here with a pussy bow tie, and it has a center seam here which I added an invisible zip to. I did do the poofy sleeve here with the elasticated cuff, and the skirt with my own homemade ties. Instructions weren't too bad, and it is actually a fairly simple dress, so they weren't too bad to do. And the neckline, the pussy bow blouse or the pussy bow is actually bias binding that goes all the way around, and it extends over to make your bow. And my version is over here. This is just made in a light denim chambray from First for Fabrics, and as you can see, that's the bow there, and the invisible zip is in the middle there. And when I first made it, I was still pregnant, so I tried it on when I was pregnant. And because I think the color of the fabric, and also because of the bow here, the tie, and because I was pregnant, it just made me, it just reminded me of a hospital gown so much, and I really didn't like it at all. But then I revisited it once I'd had my baby, and actually it doesn't look too bad. It looks quite nice. So elasticated cuffs here, fraglan sleeves there, and then tied. Does it have pockets? I added pockets to mine. I try to add pockets to as many things as I can, but I'll pop up a photo of myself wearing it. And that's that. So that's all that I made in the month of June. And then I will now be posting I've got my July makes and my August makes all lying here on my bench here. So after this vlog, I'll be recording those two as well. And I hope you enjoyed listening to that. If there are any questions or any comments, please do comment below. I do love reading all of your comments, and I do try to reply to as many as I can. In the meantime, if you do want to follow me, if you don't already follow me on Instagram and my social thread, then that would be great. I post all my makes on there as well, photographs and everything else, and some family photos as well on there. And in the meantime, thank you so much for watching. If you aren't subscribed already, please kindly do subscribe and hit the like button as well. I'd be very grateful, because that means it just the YouTube algorithm just kind of gets my videos to a wider age, to a wider audience as well, which is really, really lovely. So yes, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I will see you again next time. Take care. Bye bye.